What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Real Talks with Jakub, where I interview doers, achievers, and go-getters and how they created their own luck and became successful. And today we are here with Ray Hurst. Ray is a personal and corporate transformation coach who helps people to be more fulfilled in life and more efficient at work. But he didn't start as a coach. In fact, for more than 30 years, he was self-employed, first as an electrical contractor and in the last 16 years as a sign builder. But then he discovered his true passion, which is to build people up and send them into their future. And that's what we will talk about today. So if you're someone who needs to create transition in your life, whether it's a business, relationship, or health, keep listening or watching if you're on YouTube. So welcome to the show, Ray.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm super excited about this.
Me too. I mean, you have a lot to share. But my first question is, on your website and your motto or quote is, you say that life without a plan is like a ship without a rudder. It will go wherever the wind blows. So tell me, was your life always planned?
No, absolutely not. So my life was more, I was reacting to what was happening. So I was really that ship without a rudder. Of course, yeah, I had dreams, I had goals, I had passions. But you know what? The crazy part was my frustration with not understanding myself really took the rudder off my ship. Because everybody has a dream, everybody wants to get to a certain place. But what I didn't realize for so much of my life was my frustration with life was just blowing me off course.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't able to steer it. And now that I'm understanding how to deal with stress, deal with frustration, deal with the struggles,
Right.
I can chart a course. And yeah, sure, you get bumped around. Things don't always go the way you want.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so much easier to stay on track when you understand how life works.
I think we'll get back to it, but I want to hear about your history and how you started, because your previous jobs are not very similar to coaching, right? You were electrical contractor, sign builder. So when and how this transition happened and why?
Yeah. So that's a good question. So I grew up in a single parent home. My father left when I was 4 years old. I grew up in a very conservative religious community, which didn't know how to respond to people being separated. So this is over 50 years ago. It was totally unheard of. So this church didn't know how to respond. So I struggled a lot with feeling rejection and abandonment all my life. And I'm married 34, going on 35 years this year. My wife and I had our share of struggles because she, again, was raised in a dysfunctional home. So you could imagine two dysfunctional people coming together looking for the other one to give them what they don't have. Doesn't always work. So we struggled a lot. Just looking for the truth. We weren't able to find the truth. And finally we said, you know what, we're done. 5 years ago, we said, that's it. We're never going back to counseling. We're never going back because we weren't getting anywhere. And then I said, if we don't go back, we need to figure this out ourselves. My wife said, all right, let's do it. So a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, a lot of tears, and working our way through it. We now help people have major transition in their life in less than 4 hours.
Okay, that's a powerful statement.
Because when you break it down, life is very, very simple. Life is not complicated. So what happens is we think it's complicated or we wouldn't have this problem. And to go into a little deep dive here is when you're in the middle of it, you can't see what you're dealing with. A lot of it is the stress response. Stress response releases cortisol and adrenaline into your brain. And it's literally designed to take away your creative possible thinking. So now, when you're in the midst of a fight or flight situation, your creativity is gone. The cortisol and adrenaline is racing through your brain, diminishing your cognitive thinking processing abilities to the point you're literally going from 700 bits of data that your brain's processing down to as low as 20.
Wow.
Because you want to be safe. So when you get into a stress situation and you want to be safe, you're not thinking of making friends or making up. You're thinking of, I need to be safe. Now that's at the extremes. But now imagine you're constantly going through life stressed out. So your cognitive thinking processing ability is constantly diminished. Not as low as 20, but maybe down to 400 or 500. So let me just say, do you ever see really intelligent people do really dumb things?
And is it because they cannot see themselves from like a third person point of view, because they're way too deep into their struggles and into their problems? Is that why?
So what happens when your face is against the wall, you're pressed up against the wall, you can't see anything around you except for the wall in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, another person walks into the situation and they can see from afar that what you can't see because you're pressed into that wall or that situation. Now, when you get stressed, your brain, your cognitive thinking processing ability, your creativity are greatly, greatly diminished. Now, when all this is very diminished, you're not thinking of the creative ways of doing the next thing better. You're only thinking, how can I stay safe? So your brain.
I think it all comes down to what Tony Robbins says, that our brain is designed to make us feel safe, not happy. If you want to be happy, you need to work on it. Or if you want to be creative, you need to work on it.
Yes, 100%. Your brain number one function is to stay safe. Mm-hmm. Number two is to conserve energy.
Right. So that's where you step in. All right. So if there is somebody literally looking into the wall, doesn't know where to go, that's where Papa Ray will come in and will help.
Yeah. So what happens, so many people think, I got this. And then they don't get it and it doesn't work, or they come up short. Well, that just adds one more, I like to say, putting a rock in your backpack. Mm-hmm. So you're out on a hike, you're climbing up a mountain, and you're climbing up the mountain of life. And all of a sudden something happens that you don't like or stressful. It's like putting a rock in your backpack. After a while, you just get to the point where you just simply can't go anymore and you stop. Now, stopping ain't as bad as falling backwards, but if you put enough of rocks on your backpack, in your backpack, you're going to fall down the mountain. It's inevitable. The rocks in your backpack are the wrong thoughts that you take into your mind, that you never. So I like to say this: you need to stop and think, what am I thinking? You have to ask yourself, what am I thinking?
Well, let's take a step back a little. So when I need to stop, like when I'm in a stressful situation or where I don't know where to go next, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so then I need to stop. That's the step number one. What's another step?
Yeah, first thing you need to do is you need to stop everything. Instead of trying to press in and trying to fix it, you need to take a step back, take a moment, take a deep breath, and say, ask yourself, what am I thinking? Even write it down on a piece of paper. Writing it down is powerful because when you write something by hand, it releases the neuromotor sensors in your brain that activate more of your brain's capacity to solve the problem. So writing down with a pen or a pencil is far more powerful than just trying to think it through.
Or write it on laptop.
No, write it with a pen.
Yeah, but what do you think it's like important difference, writing in a pen or writing in the Google Docs?
Very important to write with a pen.
Okay.
Because when you use a pen and when you make those strokes, it activates more of your brain to do what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And the more of the motor neural sensors that you activate in your brain, the more of your brain gets
Interesting.
involved in solving the problem.
Uh-huh.
So writing with a pen is powerful.
Hmm.
So the first thing you do, you stop. You take a couple deep breaths and you write with a pen. What am I thinking? You have to stop and ask yourself, what are you thinking? Because if you don't, your thoughts can get out of control. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you're way down the road. It's like, what? How did we get here? What am
So,
I?
so if I write what I'm thinking, is it literally what I'm thinking? Like
As
what
raw
I
as
what I should write? Like, can you give me like specific example if you do this with your
whatever,
clients or by yourself?
whatever is going through your mind,
Hmm.
and write it as raw as it is. Don't be afraid to write exactly what you think.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be surprised that when you write what you think, it doesn't make as much sense as when you're thinking it.
Hmm. Okay.
Because our brain literally runs 4 times faster than somebody can talk. So our brain is running on, high speed all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing you do is you write it down. What am I thinking? Then you ask yourself why. Here's the critical part. When you say, why am I thinking that? Write the answer. Whatever the answer comes out with it, don't pre-qualify the answer. Write it down.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you write down, ask yourself, why am I thinking that? Or why is that? Ask yourself why.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever answer you come up with, ask yourself why.
Mm-hmm.
Do that 5 times.
So always going one layer deeper.
Yes. Why? Ask the why, and you will be surprised what you come up with.
Mm-hmm.
One day, my father said to me in front of a bunch of my friends, "Who the hell you think you are anyway?" And
Mm.
I'm like, "Whoa!" It kind of set me back, and so I went home, went into my office, and I sat down and I wrote on a piece of paper, "Who the hell you think you are anyway?" And then I wrote the answer, and I said, "Why do you say that? What does that mean? Why?" And whatever the answer was, I asked, "Why do you say that? Why do you?" And it just kept going down. It was an amazing exercise that totally freed me and
Mm-hmm.
freed my mind.
I think that if you ask why like 5 times, you will usually get to quite similar results, right? That you want to be accepted or things like this. So when you do this with your clients, what are usually the reasons when you go like all the way deep?
Glad you asked. You know what? The number one issue comes back to the seed that was planted before they were 7 years old.
Hmm.
Almost every adult struggle, let me say it a different way. Every struggle that you have in your adult life literally goes back to the seed that was planted. And I'm going to say from conception to 7 years old.
Mm-hmm.
7 or 10. I'm going to say, let's just go 10 years old.
Yeah, I hear very similar thing when I talk to other people in this industry. They are saying 6 to 12, but usually like the average is 10 years. So if I ask multiple times why, do you think that I'm able myself to figure out what quote unquote went wrong when I was 7 years old?
If you're really open and objective, and it's going to be real, as long as you're not playing a victim.
Mm-hmm.
So I see so many people that said, yeah, but when they, and it is always when they or they did, or
Justify why it's not them, right?
yes, they play that victim. So I went through a lot of, seminars, YouTube, Google, just learning. I didn't have any formal education that I went through 4 years of college to get where I am today. A lot of this we learned very powerfully because we were so desperate that there had to be more. We just knew that what we were being told was not enough because it wasn't working. And I knew life could not be this difficult. And you know what, guys? I'm just going to say it. Life is very simple. We make it complicated. We like to, let's just be real, we like to blame other people. We don't like taking responsibility. When we take responsibility, it is radically changes our life. So let me just show you, here's what I like to tell my clients, is when you're dealing with other people, is you have to remember that people are empty and broken. They cannot give you what they do not have. When I realized, so let me just back up a little bit and share a little bit of what happened. 6 years ago, I was going through my second major depression. I was literally 5 minutes away from suicide.
Wow.
I was done. My first depression, 20 years before that, I lost my home, lost my business, and I filed bankruptcy, literally lost everything. What really frustrated me, if I look back at it, is nobody was able to teach us or to lead us to freedom because they only wanted to work on the current problems. Now, we have a major breakthrough in less than 4 hours on the issue we're dealing with. Let me just clarify, there's 1,000 other issues to work through. But the one we're working on, we have breakthrough in less than 4 hours. The beautiful part about that is when you learn how to break that wall, you learn how to break the next wall. They're all the same. Okay? Breaking any one of them is exactly the same method. It's just different people, different things involved. But it is like you shall know the truth, and the truth will set you free. That also means if you're not free, somewhere you don't have the truth. So when I realized that I can't blame them, I had to take them out of the equation because it is really about how am I thinking? What am I thinking about me? No matter if they're involved or not, I had to change how I thought about me. But you know what I had to do? Is I had to not just change what I think today, I had to change what I thought about me all of my life.
Okay. Can you expand on that a little bit? What do you mean exactly?
So your brain is always doing a research of your whole life, every moment of your day, to determine what's about to happen in the next moment.
Again, brain is making us feel safe.
Yes. In order to stay safe, what is about to happen based on everything I know about what happened in the past that is similar to what I think is going to happen in the future. So your brain is going to pull primarily from the first 10 years of your life, because that's the foundation, building principles of your beliefs. So that's going to be the strongest part it's going to pull from. Now, can you imagine that your conscious mind does not remember, but your subconscious mind cannot forget? So as we're going into our future, our brain is calculating all them things that happen. So you say, well, what can I do about that? That's a good question. You can go back and change the meaning of what you gave the first event.
That's so interesting. I would like to dig deep a little bit into this. And we're discussing with Theo Cummings, we're discussing fear of the unknown. And I was asking like what it is, right? Why it even exists. And he said that it doesn't exist, that fear of the unknown are actually actually things that happened in the past or what we thought in the past, and
Yeah.
we are projecting it into the future that they might happen again, right? So that's why we are afraid to make the step, because it's coming from the past, right? Something bad happened, and we're just again, our brain is keeping us safe for protecting us to making it happen again, right?
Exactly. You got it, 100%. So
Hmm.
it is sometimes the hardest thing you can do, but yet it's the easiest thing to do. So what happens is a very simple step, but it's a process. So a process is a series, it takes time. It's a series of steps you go through. It's
Hmm.
very simple, is identify the wound in the past, write the truth. So my one is most significant for me is my father left my home when I was 4 years old, left my mom to raise three boys by herself, barely ever paid child support. I would tell people I was abandoned, I was rejected. When I learned these principles, I said, I was never abandoned. I was never rejected. My father was empty and broken.
Hmm.
He couldn't give me what he didn't have. When I got, bam, instantly changed my life
Interesting. Huh.
because I wrote a new meaning. Now, what's interesting, I did that to my father. Now I needed to apply that same thing to all the other men that were father figures or leaders in my life. I had to go through and apply it to each one of them men as they came to mind, pastors and leaders and teachers, uncles and people that were in authority in my life. When it came to mind, I thought, they were empty, they were broken. They couldn't give me what they didn't have. They never rejected me. They just couldn't give me
Mm.
what they didn't have. And it was amazing how radically that changed my life and how quickly it changed my life.
And it's a big part of what you're teaching right now, because you have, is it a program, a Father's Blessing?
Yes, yes. I'm glad you brought that up. So in 2004, I was on a mission trip in Brazil. And I was praying for this girl. And the Holy Spirit told me to bless her as a father. And I heard somebody else talk about this. So I shared, I said, oh, I'm sorry for not being there for you. I'm sorry for not loving you. And she just starts weeping profusely. I said, I bless you as your father. You're loved.
So
You're
you
wanted.
play the father figure.
Yeah, I stood in the, I'm sorry. I asked her, can I stand in the place of your earthly father?
Ah, okay.
And she goes, yeah, no problem. Little did I know what was about to happen. And so I asked her to forgive me for not being a good dad and not being there and loving her. And she just starts weeping. And I said, I'm sorry. I bless you as my daughter. I'm so glad to be your dad. You are loved, you're wanted. And that was the beginning of many years of blessing literally thousands and thousands of people.
Hmm.
And you know what? This is probably the number one root dysfunction of people's lives is not feeling loved by their dads.
Hmm.
I have never shared this blessing with anybody that has not touched their heart,
Okay.
majorly touched them. So what I do now is, as over the years since 2004, this has evolved. I've been on 4 trips back to Brazil just to share this. And I I ask permission. Can I stand as your father? Can I be standing as your dad? And can I bless you? And nobody has said no. Everybody is, well, of course. And I first ask for forgiveness for the wrongs that I did as a dad. Because I'm a dad, so I know we all do wrong. There's no perfect dad. There's just not. We're never here to point shame or blame at anybody. So let me just make that clear. What I do, and I call it now, what we're calling it is, Daddy, why don't you love me?
Mm-hmm.
Healing the wounds of absent and abusive fathers. And we're not putting blame or shame. We're just, hey, it happened. Let's heal from it.
Mm-hmm.
So we ask for forgiveness for the wrongs that were done. And then we start a blessing as I bless you at the time of your conception. You're not a mistake. You're not an accident. You are loved. You are wanted. We go through first trimester, second trimester, third trimester, birth, infant, toddler, youth, teen, adult. I tell you what, that is my greatest passion, is sharing that blessing.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have seen dramatic emotional release and healing by sharing that.
Do you do these blessings usually with men or women, or is it like
Everybody, anybody, any religion, any background, any culture, it doesn't matter. If they're a human being and if they're breathing, I want to bless them.
because I've seen many people cry.
Oh, I tell you what, it is the most powerful healing tool I have ever seen. And so many people say, no, you know, I'm good. My father get along. I said, wait. Tell me, what was your father like when you were 5? Well, we get along now. I'm like, no. What was he like when you were 5?
Mm-hmm.
Well, he wasn't there. He was absent. He was gone. Or he was abusive. And they always make an excuse. Again, we're not here to blame and shame. Not at all.
Mm-hmm.
What happened. If you do not deal with what happened in your mind and in your heart, it would affect you and your decisions the rest of your life.
I want to know, I'm sure that you have some feedback from people you gave blessing to. How did their relationship with their father after your blessing change?
Radically changed.
Mm-hmm.
Because the people see their father as an imperfect human being. Because before, it's so easy to be angry at what you didn't get. But all of a sudden, when you feel that burden lifted, and then you understand that your father is not perfect, it changes how you see this. So I do this crazy thing called immersions, where I literally fly anywhere in the world and spend 3 to 5 days in people's homes. I sleep there, I eat meals there. We start our sessions at 8 o'clock in the morning, and we're in session at their kitchen table to 6 o'clock at night.
Wow.
Yeah. Nobody else is allowed in the house except for the couple I'm working with. It's very intense.
So it's a family or couple?
Just the couples.
Okay.
On the last day, when the children come back from the babysitter or wherever they're staying, or the adult children come back home, I lead mom and dad through blessing their children. And I tell them what to say. And we have seen dramatic healing that has happened. It's been unbelievable. The most dramatic experience that comes to mind is when I was in Brazil. This guy was invited by his mother-in-law to come and meet with us at the ranch we were staying at. It was pretty obvious he didn't know why, because when I told my translator I want to bless him as a father, he said, I don't want to hear about my dad. If I ever see him, I'd kill him. I want to kill that man. And I'm like, whoa. I said, well, can I just pray for you? And he goes like, yeah, no problem. So I went through this father's blessing. I'm not kidding. He was sitting on the floor doing this, gasping for breath with his hands on his chest. And I'm like, what? He's having a heart attack. And I'm asking my translator, what's happening? Is he dying? And it felt like 10 minutes. I mean, it was horrible. I bet it was only a minute, if not even maybe that, maybe 30 seconds. But it felt like, so I thought the guy was going to have a heart attack. When he could talk, he said, I want to see my dad. And he was crying.
Wow. And did he see his dad again?
I don't know. I haven't seen him after that. That was one of my 4 trips there.
Yeah.
So I never seen him again. But the most amazing thing is almost every person that I share this blessing with, they say, oh, I feel lighter. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like I'm walking on air because a significant burden is lifted off their shoulders
Mm-hmm.
as they realize they were not abandoned. They were not rejected. So what it's really doing, it's going in and rewiring the synaptic connections in their brain. So it's instantly rewiring them because you shall know the truth and the truth will set you free instantly. Not in 5 years, not in 10 years, not in 10 minutes. The truth of bam, it's right there.
Mm-hmm.
It's
So,
a instant restructuring of your brain.
so are these father's blessings part? Is it part of your home immersions you're doing?
Yes. So what we do in an immersion that makes it so powerful, by the way, we have a 100% money back guarantee that if I don't change your life in them 3 days, I'll give your money back, including airfare.
Wow.
I just got back from
Well,
volunteers.
let's stop right here. So, how do you? What is the metric of changing life, or how do you like measure that the life was changed?
They are totally different.
Okay.
Literally after the first day. So locally, if I meet with somebody for 8 hours and I don't improve their life, I will give their money back.
Hmm.
That's meeting here where I am.
Did it happen already in the past?
That I gave money back?
Yes.
Never had to. So here's the beautiful part about this, and this is why I'm so confident, is anybody, and there's only one stipulation, only one. If I tell you to do something 3 times and you don't do it, we're done.
Mm-hmm.
I leave.
Mm-hmm.
But people balked because they didn't want to go to that painful place. They didn't want to go that deep dive. They're like,
That stretch. They didn't want to do that stretch, right? Uncomfortable.
no, they didn't want to. But then they did. And again, when you know the truth, it's instant. It's an instant change. What we do that makes this so powerful. And guys, you can do it wherever you are. It doesn't matter what culture, background, beliefs you have. It's really, really simple.
Mm-hmm.
Stop. Think. What am I thinking?
Write it down.
Why am I thinking this?
Mm-hmm.
Is it truth? What is the truth?
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. Now, to do it by yourself is way more difficult because we get sidetracked and our brain is trying to keep us safe, keeps running scenarios, running new scenarios, trying to justify why we did this all our life and why we've been thinking this way. So to do it on our own is difficult, but not impossible.
Mm-hmm.
You have to want to change. And you have to be willing to say, it was nobody's fault. Stop blaming other people.
Yes.
Number one, my dad wasn't at fault. My dad was broken and empty. He couldn't give me what he didn't have.
Mm-hmm.
I got to stop, I had to stop blaming my father. As soon as I stopped blaming anybody, including my wife, we're married 34 years, we used to have knockdown, drag out, scrapping fights and arguments. And now, if we have a disagreement that lasts more than 5 minutes, it's bad. It's really bad. Why? I changed my mind.
Mm-hmm.
I radically changed my mind. Hey, let's be real. I am broken and empty in some areas. My wife is broken and empty in some areas. Everybody is broken and empty in some area of their life. When you can look at each person objectively and say, wow, they're going through a struggle in their life that I have no idea how bad it is.
Yes.
I'm going to show them some love.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is. That's all it is. It's
powerful.
really, you know what? It's simple. It is not difficult. And that's why I get so super excited. That's why we're having major life-changing breakthroughs in less than 4 hours. And you ask what the metrics is, it's evident. It's just very obvious. They are not thinking, they're talking differently. And
yes,
the whole time they're like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. It's very, very powerful. And you know the beautiful part is, it's not complicated. I can't stress enough, it's not complicated. But it is, I always said it is a process.
Right.
It is a constant working process. It's, you know, transformation, revelation is instantly, bam, I know what it is. Transformation is a working process. I got this one point, I got it, boom. Next one, I got another one I got to work on, then another one I got to work on, then another one I got to work on. But it's a process. And in no time at all, you're going to find radical changes in your life. Is by simply applying yourself to finding it.
And again, let's repeat these steps. So stop, like take a moment.
Stop. Yeah.
Write what you're thinking in hand, not on laptop.
What am I thinking?
What you're thinking? Yes.
What am I thinking? Why? So here you got to write down, what am I thinking? Why am I thinking it?
And ask 5 times, right?
Why? Every answer you come up with, why? And at the bottom, say, is this the truth? What is the truth? By the time you get to number 5, you're going to find, if you're willing to stop being the victim, you will find how you need to change your mind.
So the strategy basically works if you completely accept that you are not a victim and that you are 100% responsible in everything in your for everything in your life.
Got it.
All right, Ray, I have an off-topic question. How do you stay married for 34, 35 years? Give the advice to 26-year-old Jakub.
Is give up your right to be right.
Okay.
If you don't need to be right, you can be married for 100 years and love it. That's what it is. Stop it. You don't need to be right. Sometimes your spouse is going to do things that you know are wrong. No doubt in your mind. They are so flat out wrong. Give up your right to correct it. There's no reason. So what happens is my wife is an introvert. I'm an extrovert. So
I can see that.
What's that?
I can see that.
Yeah. So my wife, I was kidding her today when she was in the office. I said, by the way, he's expecting you to be on today. And she goes, what? I just started laughing because she would never be on a podcast. I should say never. I mean, hopefully someday she'll get into it. We'll grow into that. But what happens is I needed to create a safe place for her to grow. Now, to create a safe place, I cannot tell her everything that she's doing wrong. That's not safe. So in any relationship, no matter what the relationship is, mother, father, brother, sister, girlfriend, boyfriend, coworker, boss, if you're constantly correcting the other person, this doesn't create a safe place for them to even be real with you.
Yes.
Because they're afraid. They're kind of like always walking around on guard. They're like constantly.
You're still judging them, right?
Yeah. They're going to be very careful what they say to you. And they're going to shut down. They're not going to be creative. They're not going to be themselves. So you will never have a good relationship with them. Now, don't get me wrong. You just don't let somebody go around and do crazy things and, hurtful or wrong things. But there's a different way of approaching it. As you can say, is that the best way to do it? Or what would happen if we didn't do it that way or you did it this way? Using suggestions. Or you could say, I didn't really like when you did that. That didn't make me feel so good. So you're not judging them, you're telling them what you felt.
Yes.
Instead of saying, you really shouldn't do that, don't you realize how that hurts me? Instead of say, I don't really like when you do that. It takes the stick away. It takes the stick out of your hand. That when you talk to people and you make suggestions or share your feelings, now it's your feeling. I don't like when you do that. It doesn't make me feel good. Instead of saying, you should not.
Right.
Don't should on me.
That's exactly when I will start having hands like this, right?
So the relationship, girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife, boss, it doesn't matter. Is how do you approach them?
Right.
How do you always have to be right? Does it always have to be your way? Do you always, correct them and say, "Yo, you shouldn't do that"? Again, giving up your right to be right. Just sometimes,
Yes.
just let it go.
Yes.
Let it go, because everybody you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about.
I think we could have this discussion forever, but
yes.
Can you give me and to our listeners like one actionable advice they can apply today or next week that will help them to make that tough decision, for example, in their life?
So the number one thing is, what do you want in life? You have to have a goal. A ship without a rudder, life without a plan is like a ship without a rudder. What's your plan? What's your goal? You got to have something to work toward. It's shocking how many people I ask, what's your goals? What's your plans for the future? And like, I don't know. And they're working as a waiter or a cashier. It's like, not that there's anything wrong with that, but these are young people. Teenagers and I'm like, you don't have a plan? So having a plan, a goal, small goals, very short, easy to reach, and long goals that are way out there. Very, very important. If you don't have a goal, why would you need to be better? What drives you to learn? What drives you to get education, to improve yourself? Without a plan, without a goal, you're not driven to be a better person. So get short-term, easy to reach, and long-term goals. Very, very important.
Short-term to build that momentum, right? And
yes. Short-term is I can get it within a week or two. So, or even in a day or two, I have a goal to get this accomplished in 1 or 2 days. So that gives you that motivation, and it tells your brain, I accomplished the goals that I set. And then have them out a month and a year and then 5 year, where do you ultimately want to go? Because when you, again, write it down with a pen, don't just type it on your computer, write it out. Activates the neuromotor sensors of your brain, helps to activate more of your brain to accomplish what you set your brain to do.
Yes. Thank you.
Giving a task to your brain to go after.
That's an amazing advice. Right. So if people like what they're hearing, if they like Papa Ray, where they can find you, where they can learn more about you, if they want to reach out to you about your programs, where they can do that.
So I have 2 websites. Personal Transformation Corporate Coaching is www.ilap, is ILAPNOW.com. And I have a website that's strictly about the Father's blessing. And on there, it has 2 videos, one speaking to a son and one's me speaking to a daughter. If you never heard your father say, I love you or I bless you, I encourage you to go on this website, look up the video to the son or to the daughter, and that's from my heart to your heart. That one's www.fathersblessing.org. info, I-N-F-O. It's
Mm-hmm.
not .com, .info.
Mm-hmm.
Fathersblessing.info.
All right. Right. Thanks a lot. I will put these links into the description. And yeah, guys, if you like this episode, please share it with your friends. You can either take a screenshot of the app you're listening to this podcast on, put it into your story, send it as a screenshot to your friend, or just share a link if you're watching this on YouTube, on your social media, or again in the private message on Messenger or WhatsApp. And share, raise wisdom and knowledge with others and help them to make a transition in their life too. So, Ray, thanks a lot for coming to my show. I really appreciate it. It was an amazing discussion. And I hope that we will do it again in the future.
Thank you. It was a pleasure being here.